This man helped power the space dreams of both the United States and China, and yet only one of those two countries celebrates him. So China just sent a new crew to its space station. 3 astronauts will stay in Tiangong for the next 6 months, and I don't know if it's by design or just luck, but the launch date was a couple of days ago, on October 31st, the anniversary of death of Chen Xuesen. And if you're wondering who that guy is, he's a rocket scientist from China who in China is known as the father of Chinese space technology. But in the US, where he worked and lived for 2 decades, his name is erased even from the NASA lab that he helped create. Chen arrived in the US in 1935 as a 23-year-old engineer to continue his studies, first at MIT and then at Caltech. He researched and experimented with rocket propulsion and high-speed flight, and his expertise was helpful for the US during the Second World War. He advised the US Army on missile guidance systems, co-founded the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which would later become one of NASA's main space exploration centers, and one of his proposals from 1949 is even said to have inspired NASA's Space Shuttle program. By all accounts, Chen was one of the brightest minds in US rocketry, but his nationality meant that he would be seen as a threat to national security. As a Chinese scientist during the 1950s Red Scare in the US, he was an easy target. He was accused of being a communist sympathizer and arrested on suspicion of spying for China, even though to this day, there has been no evidence to support this claim. He had his credentials revoked and was put under house arrest for 5 years before he was allowed to leave the country back to China in 1955. His deportation was described by one former Navy secretary as the stupidest thing the US has ever done, and he's not wrong because back in China, Chen was welcomed as a hero. In 1956, he submitted a proposal to develop China's aviation industry for national defense, and in the same year, he became the head of the country's first missile research institution. 10 years later, in 1968, he was chosen as the first director of the China Academy of Space Technology, which today is the leading force in China's space industry. His work laid the foundation for China to send into space its first satellite and to build the Long March rocket family, which are responsible for nearly 90% of all Chinese space missions to this day, including the one that just took off.